So today I want to talk about double stops and beyond. But first, double stops. You've probably already heard about them to some extent in like a Chuck Berry style or something like that, but I want to talk about them in general. Although they can be used to make a stylistic lick, I want to talk about like just using them to make more noise. You know, sometimes a guitar playing single note lines can be a bit empty of a sound, a bit, you know, there's a lot of room left on the table, and sometimes double stops are a really easy way of filling that without playing something too complex. Also, if you like what you see here or get something from today's video, please comment, like, subscribe. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. Also, check out the links in the description for a whole bunch of fun stuff. Unless you're working out a lick beforehand or something like that and know exactly where to put it, or making a solo guitar arrangement that you definitely work out beforehand and you make as complicated as possible, then double stops are a really easy way to go, you know, here's some extra noise and a little bit of extra harmonic information and literal volume. If I wanted to go, maybe I don't want to go like, or something like that, you know, that seems a bit much. Maybe it'd be a little bit more in my interest to go like, right? Bit simpler, it still gets like a little bit extra going on. You know, depending on how I play it, it can be a little bit fun. You know, how I deliver it, it can be quite surprising, even though like, oh, we've all heard double stops, we've all heard, right? That wouldn't necessarily be surprising, it'd be nice sounding, but playing something again like, or something like that, going, using them a bit surprisingly, you know, switching a lot of registers on the guitar and everything like that, sliding your way to and from them, can be a bit like, oh, I didn't see that coming. We can use an old technique in kind of a new way. So this lick that I'm doing here that goes from to is a simple kind of like bluesy major blues idea. Basically it goes up a C major triad, hits the 6 or 13 depending on whatever, the root again, right? And back to the 6 or 13. And then the minor third, major third, root. 10, 9, 8, 10, 8, 10, 8, 9, 10. I'm speaking tab, of course. I'm a native English speaker and I speak a bit of Spanish, a bit of Dutch, and I am now fluent in tab. So when thinking of the harmony and how to accompany this melody, there's levels to how dense I can make it, how complicated I can make it. The one I chose for how I played it earlier was just the 5th underneath the root. No objections there by anyone. The root underneath the 3rd, still no objections by anyone. The 3rd under the 5th, definitely not ruffling any feathers there. 3rd and the 6th, 4ths are pretty common in blues, so why not? 5th root, yet again a 4th, and a nice opportunity to slide. Also, again, no one's getting, you know, their ears blown off. Back and forth, kind of nice. That's like the major 7, but it's really just like tension underneath the minor 3rd, right? It's just other tension. I'm not thinking, oh, it's a major 7 chord. No, or minor major 7. It's just tension added underneath minor 3rd, going to the root and major 3rd, and the 5th and root. So there are other ways to play this lick, obviously, like, right? That's actually using everything straight out of like a minor pentatonic kind of a thing. But I kind of enjoy the other way a little bit more, for me personally. It's one of those moments where like the lick idea isn't so difficult, the bo-ba-doo-ba-dee-ba-doo-ba-doo, but if I play it in, you know, slightly more complicated way by using harmony, added harmony, and then all over the fretboard. It's one of those moments that is really fun to do live and see if the other guitar players in the audience went, wait, what was that? Wait, what was that? Like, I'm not adding some super complicated thing over a song that doesn't need it. I'm playing something that would be nice in a song that's simple or not, yet doing something just surprising enough that maybe another guitar player, has a nice little moment. As I mentioned earlier, though, there are levels to how complicated I can make the harmony. If I wanted to make it a bit more like clearly dominant sounding, I might go like, so flat 7 underneath the root, 5th underneath the 3rd, flat 7 again underneath the 5th. So. Right, already a bit. Root underneath the 6th, flat 3rd underneath the root, root underneath the 6th, flat 5 underneath the flat 3, 5 underneath the 3rd, just the root by itself. Right, that would be a bit more intense of a way. So I could add to the lick a little bit. Right, so I have that flat 7 under the flat 3rd, root under the major 3rd, 6 under the 2nd, 5 under the root. And that sounds pretty like a nice cliche, a nice bluesy cliche. Right? Or I can use that same kind of like, all right, if I can use it for that little cliche, then all those notes are available. Let me think about it that way, and all of a sudden I can go. Right? So I have that flat 7 under the flat 3rd, and then the 6, and then the 2 with the major 3rd on top, and then the root and 5th beneath that. It's a bit more like intense, a bit more maybe modern jazzy. Especially if I left the 9 on top. Right, or something like that. Something like that. So as you can see, there's certain levels to like how descriptive are we being, how kind of adventurous are we being with the harmony that we're adding, even though it's only 2 notes. I can also use it for comping. So instead of just like, or something like that, I can make a little melody. Something like that. And there I'm just using, it's a dominant, so I'm just using the Mixolydian mode. And, right, adding a 3rd below everything in this scenario. Doing the major 7th underneath the minor 3rd. To go to the root and major 3rd. And then when going to the F, just kind of going chromatically down. 3rd and 5th for the C chord, 6th and root on top, 5th and root on top, 3rd and root on top, 5th and 3rd on top of the G chord. Like that. Of course, there are also triple stops or 3-note chords, and they sound something like this. At least they can. Here I'm mostly doing like a triadic thing, like even just this C major bar chord that we all know. I'm just picking 3 notes at a time, and the top note becomes my melody. Right? Walking up the scale in triads. Then kind of doing like a C sus thing. Everything else is like a D minor triad, E minor triad, C major triad, C sus 4, and back to just regular old C major. So here's something a bit more complicated. Everything is from a major scale though. Quite a bit more complicated, pretty difficult to play. Would I be playing something like that kind of off the cuff? No. Would I work that up beforehand and put it methodically somewhere, or maybe put it as a part of arrangement? Sure. If I wanted to pre-make a version that was a bit easier to play, I might use more fourths. Something like that. And I might use kind of the similar voicings. So like, which would be like the 4th, 5th, and 2nd of a C major scale. 5th, 6th, and major 3rd. And things like that where you know, you can find that a certain shape works several times throughout a scale, and then it's really easy to be able to hop in between if you're doing something off the cuff, or if you want to do something quickly and not do this with your hand a lot. So this example might be using a bit more notes, a bit more flowery, you know, harmony, even though it's diatonic, everything is staying diatonic. But I could use more, you know, chromatics or more borrowed harmony. So let's say we start with a sharp 4 on bottom, so we're borrowing from Lydian. I'm just doing basically a half step below where the notes will be. So instead of, I'm going, right? Yeah, and just follow your ear for what sounds acceptable to you, what is leading you and the listener in a melodic direction and making sense. Making these kind of licks and just even fooling around with like, hey, how many different ways can I make 3 notes work right in these 3 strings? Okay, all right. Can I do it? You know, and then mix and match and mix and match, and you know, you find little lines that you like and will become yours. They'll become your trademark. Or you might stumble upon something that someone already did and go, hey, you know, I know what they're doing now. Either way, it's a really great way to just practice your scales and practice, you know, your knowledge of the different shapes and how they connect. It can take a second, but it's incredibly rewarding and it sounds great, which is a pretty fun way to practice. Even if you start just in one area, right? That is totally fine, and then expand over time at your own pace. So I hope this video gives you something to work on and also can spice up your practice routine by playing something a little bit musical, a little bit melodic, while still working on all these shapes, all these chord shapes, and all these scale shapes. You'll certainly get the vibe down of a lot of modes, like, and then changing to Mixolydian, you know, and more. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all next week.